In a tranquil valley nestled between two great mountains, there existed a monastery renowned for its profound wisdom and serene beauty. The monastery was led by a venerable master known for his silent teachings. He rarely spoke, yet his silence resonated with deeper truths than words could ever convey. One day, a young seeker, eager for enlightenment, arrived at the monastery. The seeker had traveled far, driven by tales of the master's wisdom. As he entered the monastery, he was struck by the serene atmosphere and the palpable sense of peace. The seeker approached the master, who was sitting silently under a large Bodhi tree, meditating. The master's eyes were closed, his presence commanding yet tranquil. "Master, I have traveled far to seek your wisdom. Please, teach me the path to enlightenment," the seeker implored. The master slowly opened his eyes and looked at the seeker. He said nothing, his gaze steady and profound. The seeker, slightly unnerved by the silence, continued, "I have read many scriptures and meditated for countless hours, yet I still feel lost. Please, guide me." The master's response was to close his eyes once more and resume his meditation. The silence hung heavily in the air. 1. Embracing silence, confused and somewhat frustrated, the seeker sat down and began to meditate, hoping to understand the master's silent message. Days turned into weeks, and the master did not utter a single word to the seeker. Instead, the seeker observed the master's daily routine, his meditation, his mindful walking, his silent interactions with nature and the monks. Gradually, the seeker began to notice subtle changes within himself. He started to appreciate the silence, finding a stillness within that he had never experienced before. His mind, once filled with ceaseless chatter, began to quiet down. The first lesson the seeker learns is the power of silence. In Zen and Buddhism, silence is often more powerful than words. It allows the mind to settle, making space for deeper understanding and insights. By embracing silence, the seeker begins to experience a shift in his perception and inner peace. 2. Observing nature. One morning, as the seeker was meditating near a stream, he noticed the master sitting by the water, watching the flow of the current. Intrigued, the seeker joined him, sitting silently. The master pointed to a leaf floating on the water, carried effortlessly by the current. The seeker watched the leaf, and a realization dawned upon him. The leaf did not resist the flow, it moved with the current, effortlessly and peacefully. The master then stood up and walked away. Leaving the seeker to ponder the lesson, the second lesson is about observing nature and learning from it. In Zen practice, nature is a great teacher. The leaf represents acceptance and non-resistance. By observing the natural world, the seeker learns to go with the flow of life, embracing its ebbs and flows without resistance. This is a key principle in Zen, finding harmony with the present moment. 3. The art of non-attachment. As months passed, the seeker's understanding deepened. One day, the master handed the seeker a beautiful clay bowl, intricate in its design. The seeker admired the bowl, feeling a sense of attachment to its beauty. The master then motioned for the seeker to follow him to a cliff overlooking the valley. Without warning, the master took the bowl from the seeker's hands and let it fall over the edge. The bowl shattered into countless pieces. The seeker was stunned, a mix of anger and sorrow welling up within him. Seeing the turmoil in the seeker's eyes, the master finally spoke, his voice calm and gentle. "Why do you grieve for something that was never truly yours? Beauty is fleeting, as is all in life. Let go of your attachments and you will find freedom. The third lesson teaches the seeker about non-attachment. In Buddhism, attachment is seen as a source of suffering. By letting go of attachments, whether to objects, people, or ideas, one can achieve true freedom and peace. The Master's actions, though seemingly harsh, illustrate the impermanence of all things and the importance of non-attachment. 4. The power of presence. One day, the Master invited the seeker to join him in tending the monastery garden. They worked side by side in silence, planting seeds, weeding, and watering the plants. The seeker noticed how the Master was fully present in each action, no matter how mundane. His movements were deliberate and mindful, a dance of grace and purpose. The seeker tried to emulate the Master, focusing his mind entirely on the task at hand. He found that by doing so, he experienced a sense of deep peace and fulfillment, even in the simplest of actions. The fourth lesson is about the power of presence. In Zen, being fully present in the moment is a core practice. Mindfulness in daily activities, no matter how small, brings a sense of peace and fulfillment. The seeker learns that enlightenment is not found in grand gestures but in the mindful presence of everyday life. 5. The silent mind. As years passed, the seeker became adept in the ways of the monastery. His mind was calmer, his heart more at peace. Yet, he still had one lingering question. One evening, as the sun set over the mountains, the seeker approached the Master. Master, I have learned much from your silence, but I still do not understand one thing. How can silence be more powerful than words? The Master smiled, his eyes twinkling with wisdom. He led the seeker to the meditation hall and sat down in front of a blank canvas. The Master handed the seeker a brush and ink, gesturing for him to paint his thoughts. The seeker dipped the brush in ink and began to paint. As he painted, his mind was flooded with thoughts and emotions. He tried to capture them on the canvas, but the more he painted, the more chaotic the image became. Frustrated, he looked at the Master. The Master then took the brush and, with a few simple strokes, created a beautiful image, a serene landscape, peaceful and harmonious. The Master handed the brush back to the seeker and pointed to the canvas. The seeker understood. His mind had been like the chaotic painting, filled with noise and confusion. The Master's mind, however, was like the serene landscape, calm and silent, able to create beauty with minimal effort. The fifth lesson is about the silent mind. In Zen and Buddhism, a silent mind is considered powerful because it is free from the clutter of thoughts and emotions. It can see clearly and act with wisdom. The Master's painting illustrates that true creativity and wisdom arise from a silent, calm mind. Years later, the seeker, now a seasoned monk, felt it was time to leave the monastery and share his newfound wisdom with the world. He approached the Master to seek his blessing. The Master, with his ever-present serene smile, placed his hand on the seeker's shoulder and said, "Go into the world with the silence you have embraced. Let your actions speak louder than words. Remember, in silence, there is great power and wisdom." The seeker bowed deeply, gratitude filling his heart. As he walked away from the monastery, he felt a profound sense of peace and purpose. He knew that the Master's silent teachings would guide him throughout his life. The departure signifies the culmination of the seeker's journey. He has embraced the power of silence and learned valuable lessons. He is ready to share his wisdom with the world, embodying the principles of Zen and Buddhism in his actions and presence. The master's final words reinforced the idea that silence is a powerful tool for wisdom and action. The seeker traveled far and wide, spreading the teachings of the silent master. Wherever he went, he inspired others with his calm presence and wise actions. People were drawn to his silent wisdom, finding peace and clarity in his presence. Over time, the seeker became a revered master in his own right, known for his silent teachings. He rarely spoke, but his silence resonated deeply with those who sought his guidance. The legacy of the silent master continued through the seeker, a testament to the power of silence and the profound wisdom it holds. In the end, it was not words that changed the world, but the silent, mindful presence of a true master. The epilogue highlights the enduring legacy of the silent teachings. The seeker, now a master, continues to embody the principles of Zen and Buddhism, spreading the wisdom of silence to others. This reinforces the idea that true wisdom and enlightenment are not found in words, but in the silent, mindful presence of a person who has embraced inner peace. The story of the silent master and the young seeker is a journey of self-discovery and inner peace, highlighting the profound wisdom that silence can offer. Through the lessons of silence, nature, non-attachment, presence, and the silent mind, the seeker finds true enlightenment and becomes a beacon of wisdom for others. Thanks for watching. Hope enjoyed this video. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more content like this. Just click the subscribe button below and hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. Also, feel free to leave a comment and let me know what you'd like to see next. See you in the next video. Once upon a time, in a serene village nestled amidst rolling hills and ancient forests, there was a temple known for its peaceful aura and wise monks. The temple, surrounded by lush gardens and tranquil ponds, was a sanctuary for those seeking enlightenment and inner peace. People from distant lands came to learn the ancient teachings of Zen and Buddhism, hoping to find clarity and purpose in their lives. In this village lived a young seeker who had always been fascinated by the tranquility and wisdom of the temple monks. The seeker, feeling lost and overwhelmed by the complexities of life, decided to embark on a journey to discover the secrets of a fulfilling life. This journey led them to the temple, where they met the head monk, a venerable sage with decades of wisdom etched into every line of his face. The head monk welcomed the seeker warmly and invited them to stay at the temple. Your journey begins with understanding that great changes often come from small habits, the monk said. Intrigued, the seeker asked the monk to teach them these small habits that could change their life forever. The head monk agreed and promised to reveal these habits through a series of lessons and stories. Habit 1: Mindful breathing. The first lesson began early the next morning. The head monk took the seeker to a quiet spot by the temple's lotus pond. The first habit you must cultivate is mindful breathing, he said. It is the foundation of mindfulness and inner peace. The monk instructed the seeker to sit comfortably and focus on their breath. Inhale deeply, filling your lungs with air, and exhale slowly, releasing all tension, the monk guided. As the seeker practiced, the monk shared a story. There was once a fisherman who lived by a great river. He was always in a rush, casting his nets and hoping for a big catch. One day, an old sage approached him and asked, "Why are you always in such a hurry?" The fisherman replied, "I must catch as many fish as possible to feed my family." The sage smiled and said, "If you continue to rush, you will miss the beauty of the river and the joy of fishing. Sit with me and breathe deeply." The fisherman hesitated but followed the sage's advice. As he sat and breathed mindfully, he noticed the gentle flow of the river, the chirping of birds, and the rustling of leaves. He felt a deep sense of calm and realized that by slowing down and being present, he could enjoy his work and life more fully. The seeker felt the calmness spread through their body as they practiced mindful breathing. They realized that by simply focusing on their breath, they could anchor themselves in the present moment and find peace amidst chaos. Habit 2. Gratitude Practice. The next lesson took place in the temple's garden, where vibrant flowers bloomed and butterflies danced in the air. The head monk handed the seeker a small journal. The second habit is practicing gratitude, he said. Each day, write down 3 things you are grateful for. It will shift your focus from what is lacking to the abundance around you. The seeker opened the journal and began writing. The monk shared another story to illustrate the importance of gratitude. In a distant village, there lived a farmer who constantly complained about his life. He envied his neighbor's wealth and always felt discontented. One day, a wise monk visited the village and heard the farmer's complaints. The monk gave him a small stone and said, "Carry this stone with you and each night, place it beside your bed. Before you sleep, think of 3 things you are grateful for and place the stone on them in your mind." The farmer was skeptical but followed the monk's advice. Over time, he noticed a change in his perspective. He began to appreciate the simple pleasures in life, like the warmth of the sun, the laughter of his children, and the beauty of his fields. His heart filled with gratitude, and he found contentment and joy in his everyday life. As the seeker wrote in their journal each day, they felt a profound shift within. The habit of gratitude illuminated the beauty and abundance in their life. Replacing feelings of lack and dissatisfaction with contentment and joy. Habit 3. Daily Meditation. The third lesson took place in the temple's meditation hall, where the atmosphere was charged with stillness and serenity. The head monk guided the seeker to a comfortable cushion and instructed them to sit in meditation. The third habit is daily meditation, he said. It will help you cultivate a calm and focused mind. The seeker closed their eyes and followed the monk's instructions. As they meditated, the monk shared another story. In a bustling city, there lived a young merchant who was constantly stressed and anxious. He sought out a wise monk for advice on finding peace amidst his hectic life. The monk took him to a quiet room and said, "Sit here and meditate for a few minutes each day. Clear your mind and focus on the stillness within." The merchant was doubtful but decided to try. As he meditated daily, he felt a sense of calm and clarity that he had never experienced before. He became more focused and efficient in his work, and his stress gradually melted away. Meditation became his refuge, a sanctuary of peace amidst the chaos of the city. The seeker experienced a similar sense of calm and clarity during their daily meditation practice. They realized that meditation was a powerful tool to quiet the mind, reduce stress, and enhance focus and well-being. Habit 4. Acts of Kindness. The fourth lesson took the seeker to the village, where they observed the simple, yet profound, interactions among the villagers. The head monk explained, the fourth habit is practicing acts of kindness. Kindness connects us to others and brings joy and meaning to our lives. The seeker was encouraged to perform small acts of kindness throughout the day. The monk shared another story to illustrate this habit. There was once a wealthy merchant who, despite his riches, felt a deep sense of emptiness. He sought the counsel of a wise monk who advised him to give generously and perform acts of kindness. The merchant began to help those in need, offering food to the hungry, shelter to the homeless, and comfort to the lonely. Each act of kindness brought him immense joy and fulfillment. He realized that true wealth was not in material possessions but in the connections he made and the lives he touched. As the seeker performed acts of kindness, they felt a deep sense of joy and fulfillment. They understood that kindness was a powerful force that not only benefited others but also enriched their own life. Habit 5. Letting go. The final lesson took place by a serene waterfall, where the sound of cascading water created a soothing symphony. The head monk sat beside the seeker and said, "The fifth habit is learning to let go. Holding on to negative emotions, past mistakes, or unmet expectations can weigh us down. Letting go frees us to move forward with grace and peace." The monk guided the seeker through a visualization exercise, encouraging them to imagine letting go of all burdens. As they did so, the monk shared a story. There was once a young monk who carried a heavy sack of stones everywhere he went. The sack represented his grudges, regrets, and fears. One day, an elder monk asked him, "Why do you carry this burden?" The young monk replied, "I cannot let go of my past and my worries." The elder monk took him to a river and said, "Throw the stones into the water and watch them sink." The young monk reluctantly did so, and as he watched the stones disappear, he felt a profound sense of relief and freedom. He realized that holding on to burdens only weighed him down, and by letting go, he could move forward with lightness and joy. The seeker felt a similar sense of relief as they practiced letting go of their burdens. They understood that by releasing negative emotions and past mistakes, they could embrace the present and future with a sense of freedom and peace. As the seeker embraced these 5 small habits: mindful breathing, gratitude practice, daily meditation, acts of kindness, and letting go, they experienced a profound transformation. Their life became filled with peace, joy, and purpose. They realized that true change does not come from grand gestures but from the consistent practice of small, meaningful habits. The head monk observed the seeker's transformation with a serene smile. "You have learned well," he said. "These habits are simple yet powerful. They are the keys to a fulfilling and enlightened life." The seeker thanked the head monk and continued to practice these habits daily. They returned to their village, sharing the wisdom they had gained with others. The village flourished, and the temple remained a beacon of serenity and wisdom. And so, the story of the 5 small habits that could change a life forever was passed down through generations, a testament to the transformative power of Zen and Buddhist teachings. The seeker's journey became a source of inspiration, reminding all who heard it that great changes often come from the humble practice of small, mindful habits. Thanks for watching. Hope enjoyed this video. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more content like this. Just click the subscribe button below and hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. Also, feel free to leave a comment and let me know what you'd like to see next. See you in the next video. In a world where individuals journey along diverse paths and hold unique perspectives, the temptation to measure oneself against another is strong. Yet, according to Zen and Buddhist teachings, comparison is an illusion, a distraction from the true purpose of life. Each person is a universe unto themselves, complete with strengths, weaknesses, trials, and triumphs. Zen wisdom teaches that comparison is a trap, keeping us from realizing our full potential and understanding our worth. As the ancient saying goes, the flower does not think of competing with the flower next to it, it simply blooms. This story invites you to step into the life of a person struggling with self-doubt, envy, and endless comparisons. Through the teachings of a wise monk, this person embarks on a transformative journey, uncovering the truth about individuality in the beauty of self-acceptance. The story: once, there was a young seeker who often found themselves in turmoil, feeling trapped by their inability to measure up to others. This feeling followed them like a shadow, casting darkness on their every achievement and joy. Whenever they saw someone excel in a particular skill or receive admiration from others, their heart would sink, and a voice inside whispered, "You are not enough." These feelings made them restless, constantly yearning to be like others, even though each attempt only led to deeper discontent. One day, while walking through a serene forest, they noticed a small monastery nestled amidst the trees. The air around the monastery was peaceful, and a sense of calm radiated from the place, as though it held the answers to the seeker's unspoken questions. Drawn to this tranquility, they entered the monastery and sought out the guidance of the wise monk who resided there. The monk was a gentle soul with a serene demeanor that seemed untouched by the storms of the outside world. When the seeker explained their troubles, confessing their constant desire to compare themselves to others, the monk listened with patience. He offered a small smile, then led the seeker outside to a quiet garden. "Do you see the trees in this garden?" asked the monk, pointing to a towering oak and a slender bamboo. "Both have grown in their own time and way. The oak has grown wide and strong, offering shade and shelter, while the bamboo has risen tall and flexible, swaying with the wind yet never breaking. Do you think the oak looks at the bamboo and wishes to be thin and tall, or the bamboo looks at the oak and longs to be wide and sturdy?" The seekers shook their head, beginning to sense the lesson but still unsure of its meaning. "These trees do not compare themselves to each other," continued the monk. "Each one simply fulfills its purpose, existing in harmony with the world around it. They do not measure their worth by the form of the other. Instead, they live true to their own nature. This is why they are at peace." The seeker pondered these words and asked, "But how can I stop comparing myself? It feels like an automatic response, like a part of me that I cannot control." The monk nodded, understanding the struggle. "Comparison arises when we lose sight of our path," he replied. "When you look at others and wish to be like them, you are stepping away from who you are. Each person's journey is different, shaped by unique experiences, talents, and choices. Just as every flower blooms at its own pace, each individual has their own timing and purpose. You are not here to replicate another's life but to live your own." The lesson of the sand garden. As they walked, the monk led the seeker to a Zen sand garden. The patterns in the sand were intricate, formed into circles, lines, and waves, yet each design flowed harmoniously with the others. No pattern was precisely like another, but together they created a unified landscape. "Imagine if each line or wave in this garden desired to be like the other," the monk said. "There would be chaos, and the beauty of the garden would be lost. But when each pattern is created with care and left to exist as it is, the entire garden becomes something greater than any single line or wave." The seeker nodded, a new sense of calm washing over them. They could see that their worth did not lie in matching the strengths or achievements of others. They were like a pattern in the sand, valuable and complete as they were. To try and shape themselves to another's form would be to erase their own beauty, the waterfall and the stream. The monk then led the seeker to a nearby waterfall, where a small stream flowed from its base. They sat in silence, watching as the water fell in torrents, creating a soft mist that hung in the air. It was a breathtaking sight, powerful and awe-inspiring. As the seeker marveled at the scene, they noticed how the stream at the base flowed quietly, almost invisibly, along its path. "Look at this waterfall," the monk said, breaking the silence. "It is magnificent, commanding attention and admiration from all who pass by. Yet the stream, humble and soft, flows with equal purpose. They both serve different roles in the cycle of nature. Does the stream ever wish to be the waterfall, powerful and bold?" he asked rhetorically. "Or does it find contentment in flowing as it is, nourishing the earth with its gentle presence?" The seeker looked at the stream, reflecting on the monk's words. They realized that they had been chasing the idea of being more in the same way they saw the waterfall, grand, powerful, noticeable, thinking that only then would they be valuable. But perhaps they were meant to be like the stream, providing quiet support, with a unique strength that was just as vital, even if less obvious. The mirror within. As days passed, the seeker continued learning from the monk, who taught them meditation techniques to quiet their mind and discover the mirror within. He explained that, within everyone, there was a reflection of their true self, untainted by comparisons, free of judgment, and pure in its essence. But this inner mirror was often clouded by the dust of envy, pride, and insecurity. One day, the monk handed the seeker a small mirror and asked them to gaze into it. "Look at yourself without judgment, without the voices that tell you to be like anyone else," he instructed. "Just observe." The seeker stared into the mirror, at first feeling uncomfortable. They noticed small imperfections, marks that reminded them of past struggles, and features they had once wished were different. Yet, as they continued to look, the judgment began to fade. For the first time, they saw a face shaped by experiences, trials, and quiet victories. This was a face that had endured, grown, and continued seeking despite hardships. "You are not a copy of anyone else, nor were you meant to be," the monk said softly. "What you see in the mirror is your own path, a journey that only you can walk. Embrace it, for this is where your peace lies." The parable of the two seeds. As their time at the monastery drew to an end, the monk shared a final story with the seeker, a parable meant to solidify the teachings. "Once," he began, "two seeds lay side by side in the soil. One seed dreamed of growing tall, with strong branches and thick leaves that would offer shelter to all who passed by. The other seed, however, desired nothing more than to bloom as a delicate flower, bringing color and fragrance to the world. As seasons passed, both seeds grew. The first seed became a sturdy tree, admired for its strength and shelter. The second seed blossomed into a vibrant flower, loved for its beauty and fragrance. Though they had once been side by side in the soil, they never compared themselves to one another as they grew. They each fulfilled their purpose, and the world was richer for it. If either seed had tried to become like the other, it would have lost its unique beauty and purpose. Remember this parable whenever you feel the urge to compare yourself to another. Let your purpose guide you, for you are like a seed with a unique destiny to fulfill. Embracing one's own path, the seeker returned to their life with a renewed understanding. Each time they felt the familiar pull of comparison, they remembered the monk's teachings. They pictured the oak and bamboo, each fulfilling its purpose. They recalled the intricate patterns in the Zen sand garden and the humble stream flowing beside the powerful waterfall. In these reflections, the seeker found peace. They no longer measured their worth by the accomplishments or talents of others. Instead, they embraced their journey with gratitude and humility, understanding that their life was a unique story, a path that needed no validation from outside comparisons. Over time, they blossomed in their own way, quietly confident and deeply content, knowing that they were complete as they were. Through this journey of self-acceptance, they discovered a profound truth: to live without comparison is to live in harmony with oneself and the world. Conclusion: the illusion of comparison can only cloud our true worth, but through wisdom and understanding, we can see that every person is a vital part of life's intricate design. Just as the flowers bloom without measuring against each other, so too can we find joy and peace by living true to our own nature. Let this story be a reminder to everyone who reads it: embrace the beauty of your journey, and remember, you are enough just as you are. Have you ever found yourself wondering why life sometimes seems to unravel, no matter how much effort you put in? In moments of despair, when the world feels as though it is closing in, it is easy to lose ourselves in the pain. During these times, the teachings of the Buddha offer profound guidance. Gautama Buddha once said, "Life is suffering, but in suffering lies the path to enlightenment." While these words may sound stark at first, they carry a hidden gem of wisdom. No matter how bad the times are, there are truths we can hold on to. These truths not only give us strength but can transform our suffering into the very foundation of our spiritual growth. The following story will help illuminate these truths, offering 3 timeless lessons that remain relevant regardless of the circumstances we face. There was once a man, a seeker of truth, who had devoted many years of his life to the practice of meditation. In his youth, his heart was filled with passion and hope. He believed that through his practice, he could conquer his inner demons, achieve peace, and avoid the suffering that plagued the lives of so many. But as the years went by, his life took a turn that he had not anticipated. It all began when a great misfortune befell him. His livelihood, which he had painstakingly built, was suddenly taken from him. This loss was not due to his own doing, but due to circumstances beyond his control. As the man stood among the ruins of his efforts, he felt a wave of despair rising within him. His mind, once clear and focused, became clouded with doubt, anger, and sadness. He began to question everything: his practice, his purpose, and the very nature of life itself. It was in this moment of turmoil that the first truth began to reveal itself. The first truth: everything is impermanent. As the man sat by the remnants of his work, his mind drifted back to the teachings he had heard many times but never fully understood. All conditioned things are impermanent. He had often nodded along in agreement when the words were spoken, but now, in the face of his loss, he truly grasped their meaning. Impermanence, he realized, was not just an abstract idea. It was the very nature of life itself. Everything he had worked for, the wealth, the recognition, the security, had always been subject to change. He had simply forgotten this truth because of the illusion of permanence that comforted him during good times. As he meditated on this, a strange peace began to settle over him. The destruction of his livelihood, though painful, was not the end. It was simply a part of the ever-changing flow of life. He remembered the river that flowed near his home, sometimes calm, sometimes raging. No matter how many storms hit, the river continued its course. It never resisted change, nor did it cling to any particular state. By understanding impermanence, the man began to let go of his attachment to the past. The suffering did not disappear entirely, but he saw it for what it was, a temporary experience that would eventually pass, just as everything else does. The realization that everything is impermanent doesn't mean we are immune to pain or loss. It means that we understand these moments are not forever. When we embrace impermanence, we find the strength to endure even the darkest times, knowing that they, too, will pass. This understanding allows us to live more fully, appreciating the present while releasing our grasp on things that are destined to change. The weight of expectations. Though the man found some solace in the first truth, the weight of his expectations still burdened his heart. He had always believed that by working hard and living a life of integrity, he could avoid misfortune. Now, faced with the harsh reality that things did not turn out as he had hoped, he began to feel resentment. One day, while deep in meditation, an image came to him. He saw himself as a man walking through the desert, carrying a heavy load on his back. The load represented all of his expectations, the hopes and dreams he had carefully crafted throughout his life. As he walked, the load grew heavier and heavier, until he could barely move. Each step became a struggle, and the weight threatened to crush him. In his meditation, a voice within asked, "Why are you carrying this burden?" The question startled him. Why indeed? He had always assumed that his expectations were a necessary part of life. Without them, what was there to strive for? Then came the second truth. The second truth: expect nothing, accept everything. In that moment, the man realized that his suffering was not solely caused by his external circumstances. It was his attachment to how things should have been that truly caused his pain. He had expected life to unfold in a certain way, and when it did not, he felt betrayed. The second truth was simple yet profound: expect nothing. By holding on to rigid expectations, we set ourselves up for disappointment. Life is unpredictable, and the only way to navigate its twists and turns is through acceptance. This doesn't mean we shouldn't have goals or aspirations, but rather that we should remain open to the possibility that things may not always go as planned. With this realization, the man felt the weight on his back begin to lift. He imagined himself setting down the load of expectations he had carried for so long. In its place, he embraced the freedom that comes from acceptance. As he opened his eyes, the world around him looked different, not because it had changed, but because his perception had shifted. He no longer saw his misfortune as a punishment or a failure. It was simply part of the ebb and flow of life. When we let go of expectations, we free ourselves from the constant cycle of disappointment and frustration. Acceptance allows us to meet life as it is, rather than as we wish it to be. This doesn't mean passivity, it means embracing reality with an open heart, ready to respond to whatever comes our way. By expecting nothing and accepting everything, we cultivate a sense of peace that transcends the ups and downs of life. The light within. The man continued his journey, now lighter and more at peace. But despite his newfound clarity, there was still an emptiness within him. The loss he had suffered left a void, and he found himself questioning his purpose. What was the point of it all? If everything was impermanent and expectations only led to suffering, what was the meaning of his life? As these thoughts swirled in his mind, he sought the solitude of the forest. There, in the quiet stillness, he hoped to find answers. He sat beneath a great tree and closed his eyes, allowing the sounds of nature to wash over him. The rustling of leaves, the chirping of birds, the distant murmur of the wind, all became a part of his meditation. For days, he sat in this state of deep contemplation, until one night, as the moonlight filtered through the branches above, a revelation came to him. The third truth: you are the source of your own peace. The man had spent so much of his life searching for peace outside of himself, through material success, relationships, and spiritual practice, that he had forgotten the most fundamental truth: peace comes from within. It is not something that can be found or lost, because it is an inherent part of who we are. In that moment, the man realized that the emptiness he felt was not a lack of purpose or meaning. It was a reflection of his disconnection from his own inner light. He had allowed the external circumstances of his life to dictate his sense of well-being, when all along, the peace he sought was within him. The third truth was a reminder that no matter how chaotic the world may seem, we always have the power to return to our center. In the depths of our being, there is a stillness that cannot be touched by the storms of life. This inner peace is not dependent on our external circumstances. It is our true nature, waiting to be rediscovered. With this realization, the man felt a deep sense of contentment wash over him. He no longer needed to search for answers or strive for control over his life. He understood that true peace was not something to be achieved, but something to be remembered. The realization that we are the source of our own peace is perhaps the most liberating of all. It frees us from the need to seek validation or security from the outside world. When we cultivate a deep connection with our inner self, we find that we are capable of facing any challenge with grace and resilience. No matter how bad the times are, we can always return to the stillness within and find the peace that has been there all along. As the man reflected on his journey, he realized that these three truths, impermanence, acceptance, and inner peace, were the keys to navigating life's difficulties. He no longer feared the future, nor did he cling to the past. Instead, he embraced the present moment with an open heart and a quiet mind. He understood now that suffering is not something to be avoided, but a part of the human experience. In suffering, there is growth. In loss, there is renewal. And in every moment, there is an opportunity to reconnect with the peace that lies within. Thanks for watching. Hope enjoyed this video. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more content like this. Just click the subscribe button below and hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. Also, feel free to leave a comment and let me know what you'd like to see next. See you in the next video. There is an old Zen saying, a leaking cup, no matter how full, will always be empty. In life, we often focus on how to gain more success, more happiness, more wisdom, and more energy. We chase after solutions to fill ourselves up, not realizing that we are like a leaking cup. No matter how much we gather, we unknowingly let it drain away through small, invisible holes. These leaks are the mistakes we do not see, the habits we do not question, and the burdens we do not recognize. You may have wondered, why do I feel exhausted even when I rest? Or, why do I feel drained even when nothing bad has happened? The answer lies not in what is missing, but in what is slowly being taken from you, without your awareness. This story will reveal the unseen mistakes that drain your energy without you knowing it. Through the journey of a weary traveler, you will uncover the truth about what is depleting your strength and how to regain control of your life. The Traveler and the Hidden Weights. A lone traveler walked a long road, carrying a heavy sack over his shoulder. He had been walking for years, searching for a place where he could feel at peace. But no matter how far he went, no matter how many wise teachers he met, he always felt the same, drained, exhausted, and restless. One day, he came upon an old monk sitting by a river. The monk watched him struggle with his sack. His tired feet dragging against the ground. "You look tired," the monk said. "What is it that you carry?" the traveler sighed. "I carry my necessities. Without this sack, I cannot live." The monk smiled and pointed to a stone by the river. "Put it down and rest." The traveler hesitated but obeyed. He sat, and for the first time in years, he felt relief. His body felt lighter. His breathing slowed. His mind quieted. "Why do I feel so different?" he asked. The monk replied, "Because for the first time, you are not carrying your burdens." The traveler looked at his sack and realized something shocking. Though he had believed it was filled with his necessities, inside were stones he had collected along the way. Some were gifts, some were worries, some were past regrets. He had carried them for so long that he never questioned their weight. "How did this happen?" he asked. "I never meant to carry these," the monk laughed softly. "Most people do not know what they carry until they put it down." 1. Holding on to past pain. The traveler picked up one of the stones and examined it. It was smooth and cold, yet unbearably heavy. As he looked closer, he remembered, this was a stone he had picked up years ago when someone betrayed him. He had kept it, thinking that remembering the pain would protect him from being hurt again. "This stone is my past suffering," he whispered. The monk nodded. "And it has done nothing but weigh you down. You thought holding on to it would help you, but pain does not prevent more pain. It only adds to the burden." Many people unknowingly carry the weight of their past. A betrayal, a failure, a painful memory, these are all invisible weights that drain energy. The mind spends its strength replaying old wounds, and the body feels their burden. The truth is simple. Letting go does not mean forgetting, it means freeing yourself. The traveler placed the stone on the ground. He felt a slight lightness in his body. 2. Worrying about the future. He picked up another stone. This one was rough and jagged. The moment he touched it, his heart raced. "This is my fear of the future," he realized. "I have carried it for years, always worrying about what will come." The monk smiled. "You have paid a heavy price for things that have not yet happened. How much energy is spent worrying?" The mind creates endless scenarios, each one worse than the last. We think worrying is preparation, but in truth, it is exhaustion disguised as control. The paradox of worry is this: it does not prepare you for the future, it only robs you of the strength you need to face it. The traveler let go of the stone. His breath deepened. 3. Pleasing everyone. The traveler reached for another stone, but this one was hidden deep inside the sack. It was large, invisible to the eye, yet unbearably heavy. "What is this one?" he asked. The monk responded, "That is the weight of other people's expectations." The traveler's eyes widened. He had spent years trying to be liked, trying to gain approval, trying to live up to others' ideas of who he should be. "I thought I needed this," he admitted. "I thought if others approved of me, I would feel lighter," the monk chuckled. "But instead, you have become their prisoner. Trying to please everyone is an endless task. People's desires change. Their opinions shift. In trying to satisfy them, you become exhausted without realizing it. The truth is this: the only approval you truly need is your own. The traveler released the invisible stone. He suddenly felt free. 4. Comparing yourself to others. The monk pointed to another stone, one the traveler had never noticed before. It was shaped like a mirror. This one, the monk said, is the weight of comparison. The traveler hesitated. But I never wanted to compare myself to others, the monk nodded. No one does. But the world constantly shows you the successes of others, and without realizing it, you carry them as your own failures. Comparison drains energy because it makes you run a race that is not yours. Instead of walking your own path, you waste strength trying to follow someone else's. The lesson is clear: the only person you should compare yourself to is who you were yesterday. The traveler let go of the mirror-shaped stone. He felt at peace. The subtle art of energy conservation. 1. The true cost of carrying burdens. The traveler in the story did not realize how heavy his burdens were until he put them down. This is a lesson for all of us. Most people live their lives in a constant state of exhaustion, yet they do not know why. They assume it is because of work, responsibilities, or lack of rest, but in truth, the deepest exhaustion comes from the mind. The past and the future are illusions that we carry in our present. The past is unchangeable, yet we allow it to haunt us. The future is uncertain, yet we allow it to control us. Each thought, each fear, and each regret becomes another stone in our sack. But here is the truth: you are not tired because you have too much to do. You are tired because you carry too much that no longer serves you. To conserve energy, you must recognize the weight you carry and question whether it is necessary. 2. The invisible thieves of energy. Let us examine the unseen forces that drain energy without our awareness. Regret and guilt, these emotions serve no purpose except to keep us tied to a past that no longer exists. They make us believe we must suffer for our mistakes, yet suffering does not correct them, learning does. Unforgiveness, holding on to anger toward others is like holding a burning coal, hoping the other person gets burned. It only harms you. Forgiveness is not about excusing others, it is about freeing yourself from the poison of resentment. Overthinking, the mind creates endless stories, most of which never happen. A person can exhaust themselves simply by imagining a future that does not exist. The mind should be a tool, not a master, seeking validation, the need to be liked, accepted, or approved by others is a bottomless pit. The more you seek it, the more it drains you. The truth is, those who do not accept you as you are not your people. Comparison, every person walks a unique path, yet we often measure our journey against others. This is like comparing a bird to a fish. Each has its own purpose, and neither is superior. Each of these habits slowly drains your energy, like a small leak in a vessel. If you do not recognize them, no amount of rest or success will make you feel whole. 3. The practice of letting go. Letting go does not mean becoming indifferent. It means being wise enough to know what is worth holding on to and what is worth releasing. How do you begin this practice? 1. Observe your thoughts. Notice when your mind clings to the past or worries about the future. Do not judge yourself, simply observe. The moment you become aware, you weaken their power. 2. Release what you cannot control. Much of our exhaustion comes from trying to control things outside our power. Accept what is, and let go of the rest. 3. Simplify your life. The more you own, the more you must carry. This applies not just to possessions, but to relationships, commitments, and expectations. Keep only what adds to your peace. 4. Practice gratitude. When you focus on what you lack, you become restless. When you focus on what you have, you become content. Energy flows where attention goes. 4. True strength comes from lightness. Many believe that strength comes from endurance, from carrying as much as possible. But true strength is knowing when to let go. A tree does not hold on to its dead leaves, it sheds them so that new life can grow. To conserve your energy and live with peace, travel light. Let go of the unnecessary. Hold on to what is true. And remember, a mind at peace is the greatest source of energy. Thanks for watching. Hope enjoyed this video. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more content like this. Just click the subscribe button below and hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. Also, feel free to leave a comment and let me know what you'd like to see next. See you in the next video.